Who is the bigger rival and why? And it's funny to me. Let's take the Miami fans. It seems pretty divided. You got your Florida haters, more like, well, we respect Florida State. We don't like them, but we respect them. Florida, we just flat out hate and don't respect them. Then you got your Miami fans that their hatred is directed more at Florida State. And then you got the background stories about where they live and how they were raised and where that comes from.
Well, I don't just like a small. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just really don't like Florida.
I think it's an age thing because Cam Underwood, who, one of the godfathers of doing this with Mark, covering Miami for us, he's on the Mount Rushmore of Miami media, in my opinion. He's older, and there's like this split, dog. Like if you're like 30 or 34 up, it's a real deep hatred for the Florida Gators, and it really was an off the field stuff and a lot of the off the field things that are said to players and things of that nature. If you catch my drift, of a dislike for the Florida Gators. As a Miami fan, under 30, we didn't play Florida as much, so there was no. I think we played them 4 times in the last 20 years, something like that. So I didn't grow up having the rivalry of playing them in the heat. But I also know that Bobby Bowden had a lot of respect for the University of Miami. And there was a lot of times where y'all could jog to the middle of the field, shake hands after the game, and, hey, go win the natty. And that was it. It was a respect back and forth between the two. Jimbo had no respect for us. And we had no respect for them. And that's what I grew up on. Jimbo was taking pictures on our logos, spitting on our players. That's what he indulged that kind of stuff. Start fights, spit on them, hit them after the play. He wanted that kind of stuff, and he put that into the rivalry. And that's what I witnessed growing up. So I have no respect and will never.
I can see that because y'all was getting your asses whooped then with Jimbo.
It is.
So like I get it. Like you don't have Florida for reference, and then Jimbo's a jerk. I'm with you. I can dig it. So like I can see.
I definitely fall into the age bracket that Holsom was talking about because I'll be 35 this year.
Ooh,
but watch it. But part of it's definitely Bobby. And I'm not even gonna lie. I'm a Miami fan, but I'm also a big college football fan. There's something wrong with you if you don't have a level of respect for Bobby Bowden.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%.
And I can also look at for a 30, 35 year span, Miami and Florida State made each other. Miami wouldn't have been what they were if it wasn't for Florida State. So that's part of the reason I can have the level of respect for Florida State that I do.
Our guy, Michigan man, Jason, thank you for the super chat. We appreciate that. Jimmy Go Blue. It actually brings me to a question I would love to hear from you guys, and it's related to Jim Harbaugh, but not specifically about him. I want you to apply your head coach, past or present, to this. Over the last 2 off seasons, and even before that, Jim Harbaugh's in the news like no other college football coach, being attached to NFL jobs. Now, whether that's him just leaking information and being out there and allowing that to be out there, or that he is just a target more so than other college football coaches because of his success in the NFL, who knows? Regardless, he goes off and says some stupid things that he doesn't need to say when he can. I'll start by saying this. I have no doubt that Jim Harbaugh loves Michigan. He may be at the top of the list if people asked me what coaches love their universities. He played there. He graduated from there. He's a disciple of Bo Schembechler. I have no doubt he loves that school. But you can love the NFL, too, and have ambitions and aspirations in the NFL. And I have no doubt that he's torn. And he's also trying to leverage the two situations at the same time. But in terms of him saying stupid things out in the media like he did last offseason and basically say, well, this is the last time and I'm not doing this again. And, my NFL itch is scratched and that's done. And then he's back into it this offseason. James, I'll start with you. What do you expect of a major college football coach? Because they got their career aspirations, but at the same time, they got to protect recruiting classes. They got to protect the fans, the alumni, the boosters. And, how do you, in a respectful, classy way, walk that line and still respect the school and your football team?
Well, it's real easy. I think it's the same thing I tell players with when it comes to dealing with their agents. Your agent works for you. So, like, your agent is not going to do anything that they don't feel is in your best interest. If you're truly happy with the school that you're at, then, make sure your agent understands that and when they can say no for you. But I think a lot of times, like with Jim Harbaugh, I never thought he would be at Michigan as long as he is. He has a family name that's synonymous with the NFL, obviously with his brother coaching for years, his dad being there, and obviously he played at Michigan. But what he did with San Francisco, when he left, he didn't leave necessarily because he sucked. He was fired like most coaches. He left because of inner office turmoil. Now, what happens with college, especially when you get paid a lot, like he does, you have a little bit less stress per se when it comes to job security. Like, you don't have to worry about he's not going to get fired next year. They're not going to find a better coach than him. Most places, like if you've done something to establish yourself, you're going to have a type of job security that you won't have in the NFL. The NFL stands for not for long for a reason. Now, that being said, you don't have to recruit. But I think this year, I think he finally saw that he might be reaching his ceiling. And that Michigan is not going to become a dynasty anymore. It just it's hard to do that. And it's hard to beat, the other teams. Because you got you're behind by a first year head coach at a school that nobody really expected to kind of be in that position with Sonny Dykes. Don't get me wrong, Michigan made a lot of mistakes, but they were forced to make those mistakes because of the intensity and the ferocity in which TCU took the field. They could not match that. And I told people before, let's say Michigan handled business. You would have seen the exact same outcome that we saw when Georgia played TCU if they had to go up and play Georgia. It might have been worse. So I think he's better suited for the NFL, and he's trying to see if he can get that best job. But I don't think he leaves this year.
Michigan would have lost by 58 points.
Yeah, I take issue with that last part.
Maybe not that much, but it would have been bad. It would have been a bad. And I'll say that because didn't Michigan play? Who did Michigan play last year in the bowl game?
Georgia.
Do anybody remember that game? Was it close?
They lost by 23.
I wasn't saying it was like 31 or something. It wasn't that bad.
It was a physical
34-11.
behind whooping. Yeah. They went 5 tight ends and just punched them in the mouth over and over and over again. And they didn't have it just got out of hand. It would have been another thorough butt whooping. TCU I feel bad for those children. They were just put in a bad spot. it was child abuse, man. I hate no offense to any TCU fan, but I watched that and I was like, good night. If I would have done what Mario threatened the players to do down in Miami, I would have drove to the national championship and I would have picked my son up. I would have had to say, come on, this isn't you guys don't have any fight. Throw in the towel. At least in boxing, somebody from the sideline can throw a towel in for you. The problem with football, after you get to high school, there's no mercy rule. There's no game stoppage. You got to sit there and you got to take that butt whooping until the clock strikes 000. And that's just, whew.
You're just sitting there hoping and praying you can get a lightning strike.
Yeah.
You're hoping for a weather delay in a dome.
I mean, I think Mark kind of hit the nail on the head when it comes to Jim Harbaugh, though, because of the success he had in the NFL. I think the media is just going to put his name in every time there's an NFL opening, especially when it comes to college coaches, because let's be honest, you've had really 2 college guys that had success at both levels, at both college and the NFL. A lot of people are going to throw Barry Switzer in there, but he was handed the team Jimmy Johnson built that would have won anyway. I mean, it's really Jimmy and Pete Carroll. So for Jim Harbaugh to have the success that he's had, I think the media is just going to throw his name into it, no matter what. And honestly, I think whoever a Miami coach is, much like with some other schools, Miami's not the only one, but I'll use them as an example, because there's such a track record of guys having success at Miami and then going on to the NFL, whether they've had success or not, you almost expect it to happen.
I'll say this about overrated Harbaugh. I think, he did his thing at, San Diego. He did his thing at Stanford, and everybody wants to kiss his behind about that. And I get it. The Michigan job is not the Stanford job. It's way harder. In the middle of one of the better runs in Ohio State history, that's right there. I mean, you could go 11-1, which is amazing to almost any other program, and lose by 40 in your last game because you run into one of the best teams in college football on a great run. But as far as him being some NFL guy, his name it's a historic name within the NFL as far as him as a 49ers coach, and they'll just keep throwing his name in there. But he's peaked, and he'll probably just have his good run at Michigan and win 9-10 games for the next couple of years and ride off into the sunset.
You're not impressed with what Harbaugh did at Stanford or with the 49ers?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is people continue to bring that stuff up, and it's like old. I get it. He did it back then, but you look at what he's done at Michigan, it's not all that. Last couple of years, yeah, but his first 3 years,
I'll agree with you to a point, but I mean, the success he had at Stanford is right on the same level of, Franklin having success at Vanderbilt. Stanford's not a historically great football program. And I mean, have they reached heights better than what they did under Harbaugh?
Listen, I'm not trying to argue that. I don't live in the past. Contrary to people's beliefs as Miami Hurricane, I don't live in the past. So I don't care about what he did at Stanford and at San Jose. What he's doing now at Michigan is good. I give him that. I respect him for what he's doing now. But the fact that just keeps getting thrown up, he built Stanford. Who cares? What about now? He's doing really good at Michigan right now. And I believe that his name will continue to be thrown out there because of his success with the 49ers. That's the only reason why his name will continue to be thrown out there, because he was a successful coach in the NFL who chose to come back. And again, like Poopy Red down there said, he didn't get fired. He decided to step away because a lot of off the field stuff. As far as him as a football coach, he's good.